Mm. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Roundtable Sports. Fourth and forever.
You know what, Dan? We forgot to do the intro, so let's do it. Well, what's an episode of Fourth and Forever without that intro? I had to squeeze it in.
It's such a solid stalling metric for, once again, the usual suspect being late.
Yeah, sorry for our tardiness. As you can see, there's one individual that's late. We were sitting here, Dan and I, chatting, waiting for TD. We're like, all right, let's just start it, and he'll join live.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's been a hell of a weekend, man. You know what? Because now, when it comes into it, like, this is slowly approaching the true dead season of the year, right? Because OTAs are here. Like, we're getting some clips here and there from across the league. But then after mandatory minicamps, it's literally nothing. It's literally nothing. I certainly understand that June 1st is right around. Well, actually, it's past. So there's rumors right now that we could be hearing some pretty big trades. I think Jaylen Ramsey's name has been mentioned several times across. But after mandatory minicamp, it's largely absolutely nothing. But first off, man, how you doing today? Talk to me.
I'm doing fantastic. You know, it was a tough weekend to watch my Knicks get eliminated. But hey, man.
Sorry to hear that.
It's all good. I still am very happy to be alive. No, man. All jokes aside, the weather's finally fantastic out here in New York. And, you know, it's summer, early June. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate every single one of you guys tuning in, man. Hit that like button. And, you know, we got a lot of fun things happen internally. And football, it feels like it's right around the corner, even though it's not. But, man, I cannot wait for it.
Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you what. So the biggest storyline, I would say, like leading up from last week, had to do with Stefon Diggs and his substance on a yacht with Cardi B, right? Now, it's funny. We all laugh about it. But then a lot of Boston radio hosts have been saying that it's likely that the New England Patriots should consider cutting Stefon Diggs. One guy even went as far as saying that from his knowledge, they are strongly considering this right in the first place. He did show up to OTAs today, and I think I kind of wanted to ask you about this situation. We touched on it briefly last week, but if you were the New England Patriots, if you were Mike Vrabel, would you want this guy on your team, especially after just months after signing? He's bringing controversy to the locker room already. What do you think the fate of Stefon Diggs is going to be, Richie? Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's just shout out to him for being there after all this. I'm seeing like wild videos of him and Cardi B on my feed. I'm like, why is it?
Yeah, dude.
Like, he's living it up. Listen, he's living it up, man. His new girl, Cardi B, I mean, she's out there, all right. You talk about a girlfriend that you're going to be out. She moved on from Offset, and now she's having fun with Stefon Diggs. Listen, off the field stuff definitely has a direct impact of your ability to lock in, and it's just weird because the Patriots are known to be usually with Bill Belichick in that era or like this organization that doesn't really condone that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Was Mike Vrabel more open? And he's like, yeah, sure, party. You know, I mean, I look at Mike Vrabel more as that old school Patriot way. So I don't think this is going to be able to slide. I'm sure they had a conversation with him about this, because if what you say about the Patriots, Dan, winning 11 games, like there's a lot of people like you that has a lot of high aspirations with the Patriots. I'm telling you right now, they ain't win no double-digit wins without Stefon Diggs on the field playing like a legit wide receiver. I think that's low key. Like if Diggs can lock in and be that all-pro level wide receiver we've seen with the Bills and even the Texans when he was healthy, that can unlock this Patriots offense. But without him, man, there's nobody on this offense that sparks fear in anybody.
No.
Whoa, who's that?
Oh, don't do that, Richie.
15 minutes late, bro.
Hey, man, listen, man. I was just talking to Tyrese Halliburton.
I knew that was coming. You can't. Nope, you're late. You can't talk your crap. You missed your chance.
Richie, Pacers and 6. They're not. Dan Mitchell. Did
Yeah.
not
he
say
comes on and he just
Pacers and
talks about the
6.
Pacers and Knicks, Dan. We're gonna let that slide now. You're 15 minutes late. You can't now. You missed your window to talk your
Dan
crap about the
Mitchell
Knicks.
Did
Yeah.
not say Pacers.
All right, we're talking football. I don't know why he's bringing up basketball. Dan, we talk football only on this show.
We can bring him back in.
Gee, this is football talk. Come on, man.
All right, now it is. Okay, Richie. All right.
And so I'm
Come on,
gonna
man. I
have to go
still
ahead and
rep
add to this. And so I'm gonna have to go and add to this. It's kind of something that, so I wouldn't be shocked, right? Yes, I understood that so there was a video of him participating in OTAs, but I think the New England Patriots organization is in a very fragile process right now. Like, they are right in the middle of trying to build a brand new culture from a failed regime previously with the Gerard Mayo era. And I just don't know if Vrabel is going to be the kind of guy that wants to have that sort of outside noise, especially going into year one, especially going into year 2 of a quarterback on his second head coach. I would not be shocked if, for example, that he is moved on from. TD, thoughts on this? We're talking Stefon Diggs, some Boston radio host, is saying that he would not be surprised if the Patriots organization decided to move on from him based off of that controversy of him on the yacht in Miami just last week with that substance in his hands. Talk to me, TD.
If they were going to move on or even thought about it, he wouldn't be there for OTAs. They would go ahead and make that decision. And what did Stefon Diggs do wrong? What did he do wrong? like this is really a conversation. What did he do wrong outside of everybody speculating of what was in the bag and all of that stuff? He did nothing provably wrong. He did nothing provably wrong. So at the end of the day, this is all just blown out of perspective. I stand by my take on that whole situation last week. It's just a bad look, but it's nothing where there's this gauntlet that's going to come down on him. Like, hey, we 100% are going to just say that it was this substance and no, he did nothing wrong. So he's on a party, enjoying himself, having fun. We can all speculate what it was. I mean, we can all know what it was, but how do you prove that? Like, come on, man. You're talking about one of the biggest lawsuits ever that you'd see filed. There's nothing they can do, and there's nothing they're going to do. Stefon Diggs showed up to work today, and he's ready to perform and play for the team. At the end of the day, all of this is really just media-driven.
It's all just media-driven. One thing that I would say is that it's not necessarily that he had that substance, and who knows? Maybe it was Pop Rocks, all right? Maybe it was the very popular kids' candy out there. However, so I do think that he did know that he was being filmed, right? It was clear as day that he knew he was being filmed. And I feel like that is just naive to believe that that video is not going to be posted on the internet. And knowing his background, it probably would have been blown out of proportion. That's what I feel like the red flag is not necessarily that, yes, he had the substance he was handing out, had all these girls calling him daddy and stuff like that. But I feel like it was the knowledge of being oh, yeah, whatever. It's cool.
It's a terrible look. And for those in the chat saying TD condoning what Diggs did, I'm not condoning anything. First of all, I don't know what he did. Neither do you. We can speculate. We can judge. And if I'm going to speculate and judge, I'm going to say it was a bad substance. Okay. But at the same token, I'm not condoning it. I've been the first one to say it's a terrible look. You got to be better than that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the consequences or ramifications of it, there will be none. There are none. There's nothing you can do. You can't prove that. It's that simple.
I don't know, man. We shall see. And then somebody put this in the chat, and I feel like I have to talk to people now. I feel like I got to talk to my people here. The Lions had a very surprising retirement today. Okay, one of the best centers in the NFL, Frank Ragnow, at the ripe age of 29 years old, has decided to retire. He's hanging up the cleats. I'm sitting here trying to do a bit more research to figure out why, whether or not that it was medical purposes, whether or not that he was just ready to step away from the game. But now there are quite a bit of questions of what this offensive line over in Detroit is going to look like. And as much as I'm a Jared Goff guy, right, I do think that largely he has been slept on vast majority of his career. I think he's the type of quarterback, and so I feel like we can all agree he needs an absolutely perfect offensive line. And now there's questions within the interior of said line. Brand new offensive coordinator, and now your left guard, all right, from last year is transitioning over to center, at least according to the depth chart, in Graham Glasgow. And then you have a gentleman by the name of Christian Mahogany, taking over the left guard position, who I believe was drafted last year. Thoughts on this? All right. Should we be sounding the alarm bells for the Detroit Lions with all of these changes from a coaching perspective, but now a massive switch up right in their offensive line, which in my opinion was what made them so great for the past couple of years? I'm talking to TD on this one.
Yeah, this is massive. You don't just replace an all-pro. Okay. All pros are all pros for a reason. These guys hold down their position. They don't need help. They are the premier. What I guess I would say, they are the guys that, have a path to greatness in the Hall of Fame. This guy is the center of it all. At the end of the day, the Lions, this could be brutal for them. I mean, people underestimate how important it is to have, certain pieces on the O-line. I know a lot of people put a lot of premium on the tackles, but we're talking about the guy that typically calls the protections, the guy who's in sync with the quarterback, snapping the football. Really, 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 this could serve as a devastating blow. And I don't know. I have to do my research. Maybe you or Richie know. What's their content? Did they prepare for this? Did they have a center that they drafted? Was there a contingency plan? Because this can serve to be a huge blow. The one thing that the Lions really didn't have to deal with much, he was back there chilling, throwing the football to his guys. And that internal pressure right up the middle can serve devastating, because that's something he struggled with in the past. So we'll see. I think that this is huge. They got 2 new coordinators, if I'm not mistaken, which is also an issue. This can be a start of a decline of wasting years in Detroit if they don't figure out this situation.
So I got to tell you what, I'm sitting here looking at the depth chart of what the Lions offensive line will look like since Ragnow announced his retirement. Graham Glasgow is going to be moving over to center, at least to where we stand right now. His overall grade last year, 57.9 at the left guard position, 56.2 in pass blocking, and 57.8 when it comes into run blocking. I'm going to be unpacking a lot of the advanced metrics later for a TikTok, perhaps. So stay tuned on that one. But Richie, thoughts on this movement within the offensive line? Does this change your opinion on the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a blow. You got your quarterback of the offensive line. The offensive coaching staff is completely revamped. The Jets stole a lot of their offensive coaching staff, and, of course, the Bears. So they have a completely new identity they're going to try to build, but Dan Campbell's still there. They still got Penei Sewell, and I'm pretty sure they missed – didn't they lose a guard in free agency? What was his name? One of their top guards at free agency too. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely up there for concern, because Jared Goff is a quarterback that will absolutely get melted if he gets internal pressure, right? He's not a guy that can scramble. So he relies on that interior of the offensive line holding upright so he can step up into his throws. And I'm telling you right now, interior pass rush, I think, is the key to disrupting a guy like Jared Goff. Yeah, Zeitler. Exactly. So I think this is definitely interesting, man. I don't know if they prepared accordingly, and we'll see if they can bounce in. And also, the one thing, if you're a Lions fan, they get even more concerned. Your division's not getting any worse. It's getting better.
Yep.
The Chicago Bears is catching up. The Vikings, of course, is an unknown just because we don't know what they're going to look like with their new quarterback. And the Packers, I think, are a team you cannot count out. So it's not like, this division's easy for them to dominate just because they won it 2 years in a row.
Now, the specific quote from Ragnow was, I've tried to convince myself that I'm feeling good, but I am not, and it's time to prioritize my health and my family's future. I have given this team everything I have, and I thought I had more to give, but the reality is I simply do not. It's odd for me because I have been looking at his career, drafted in 2018, spent his entire career over in Detroit, and only one season where he did not play the full 16, or at least somewhere around. And that was in 2021, where he only started 4 games. But last year he played 16. I'm trying to pull up any sort of injury history that he potentially has, but wait, what was that? A fractured throat? What did that say? That's not real. That's not, dude. This site is not real.
It's crazy.
A fractured throat in 2020. That was actually real. In 2020, he suffered a fractured throat right in the first quarter of the dude. That's
wild.
I mean, I probably would have called it a career right then and there. Turf toe in 2021, groin in 2022, calf in 23, back in 23, knee in 23, knee and ankle 23, partially torn pec 2024. He played all through that. Okay, so I get it. All right. Like, dude's walking out there with a fractured throat, my guy. All right. Damn. And then so best of luck to Frank in his retirement. I'm very interested to see how the Detroit Lions end up responding. If only Troy Dose of Dion was in the chat so he could provide some additional insight. Shout out to our guy, our Lions representative over here on the network. But got to tell you what, folks, all right? It's after June 1st. And that typically means that a lot of players that were considered to be tradable, but were basically put on the back burner for contract issues, are now ready to be traded, or it could be put into motion. And I got to tell you what, TD, this morning I was scrolling through YouTube and I did see a video from our good friend Dougley Durong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his video was, could Jaylen Ramsey be traded today? So it sounds, right, that maybe this is a real possibility. We heard it a few months ago that he was able to seek a trade. He's been dropping a bunch of hints on social media. What are your thoughts on this, and who are the potential suitors for Ramsey, say that he is moved today or within the next couple?
Well, the suitors are interesting because he'd have a vast market. A lot of teams could use a corner on their team, whether it's a 1 or a 2, however they want to look at it. Many teams don't have 2 great lockdown corners. It's rare. Okay, so he would fit on any team. Stop, Richie. But here's what I will say. Dolphins got 24 hours. And then I start getting concerned. If tomorrow when we come live on this show, Ramsey isn't traded, I'm concerned. I understand him not being traded yesterday because June 1st is the actual day that the transactions are filed. They go through. But today I expect him to get traded, or this evening or by tomorrow, because if all this time has passed, you've been talking to teams, and if you don't have somebody already locked in, because if you do have somebody locked in, all it takes is pulling the trigger, executing. So I expect that to happen within the next 24 hours. And if not, I'm concerned because it means that the Miami Dolphins may not be getting what they want for Ramsey, which is going to complicate the situation even more because that relationship, that bridge is burnt. It's not, I don't think this is a situation where it's like, well, let's just figure it out and make it work. That relationship is burnt. I think he's let the coach know how he feels about him, and the coach can't have that in the locker room feeling that way about him. So 24 hours. If not, the Dolphins are going to have to eat some of his salary, which they don't probably want to do. They'll have to eat a significant amount just to move on from him. So it's going to be a major loss. It's already a loss losing Ramsey, even if you get draft compensation or a player. But it's going to be a major loss if you got to pay to move on for him as well, outside of what you are already paying. So that's the latest on it. At the end of the day, we're just waiting, and it's going to be very telling if it's not already done. A deal should have been in place already, so it should come down the pipe anytime now, and if not, we got problems.
So say that you were a gambling man. Where is he landing?
Ooh, if I was a gambling man, where would he be landing?
Yeah.
So I could see Ramsey landing in the NFC for sure. We want him out of the AFC.
Okay.
And I think he would end up with a team like Minnesota, a team like maybe Green Bay. Those probably one of those two teams would be at the top of my list. Jair Alexander in Green Bay is just continuing to be issues from an injury standpoint. Minnesota could use the additional corner. That's where I would think that would be good suitors.
All right, Richie. Thoughts on this Jaylen Ramsey situation, and now that it is past June 1st, are there any other players that are potentially on the trade block now? Talk to me.
Yeah. I mean, what this does is it definitely opens up more cap for some teams, like the Jets, for example. Now all of a sudden have a lot more cap space, 4th in the NFL. And the reason for that is because we cut CJ Mosley and Aaron Rodgers, and there were post June 1st designations. Therefore, now the Jets all of a sudden are 4th in the NFL in the cap space. So that aligns with the Jets from maybe we can now extend Sauce and Garrett Wilson, which I do have some news about that if we ever wanted to hear that. But yeah, I think trades are going to start flying. I think Jaylen Ramsey is going to get moved sooner rather than later. Maybe Aaron Rodgers will make his decision on the Steelers or not. So, after June 1st, things start to move. I don't really know what team is interested in a washed-up corner like Ramsey, but it's definitely going to be a good thing for the Dolphins to get rid of him, and that should be the start of a trend of the Dolphins realizing this team is not good enough to win. Blow it up, because if they do not blow it up this season, you're going to have to blow it up next season. There's a pending doom, a ticking time bomb, and it sounds like I'm hating, but I'm saying this in a way of you got to do it. The Jets just blew up the entire organization last year. Oh, it was brutal. It was not fun to be a fan during that explosion. But now that we're on the other side of it and there's a brand new thing happening, it needs to get ugly before it gets pretty. And I'm not saying it's pretty yet for the Jets because we still got to prove ourselves. But the Dolphins would be smart to get rid of Ramsey, which they will be doing. Just get it done already. Get it done already.
Folks, right now there is 153 of you watching us on YouTube right now. Look at that.
That's a good amount, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Peak off season, man. That's great for the off season. Please do us a favor. Smash that like button. We are live Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. EST. Just making sure we give you all of the late breaking NFL news rumors. Now, another name on the Miami Dolphins, somebody who is all over the place, is Tyreek Hill, right? Is Tyreek Hill still potentially on the table for UTD, or do you think that he will ultimately be playing for the Miami Dolphins? Talk to me.
Tyreek is going to be a Dolphin this year, okay? If Tyreek is to get traded, it'll be at the trade deadline because the team doesn't see a path to the playoffs or they don't believe they'll make it. It's that simple. Outside of that, that's not a concern. The real concern is the breaking news on Jonnu Smith.
That is what we need to talk about. I cannot believe I forgot about it.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith is more of the concern. And not only Jonnu Smith, but Zach Zeeler as well, which is crazy. Jonnu been trying to work out an extension. Obviously, he came off of a Pro Bowl year, had a phenomenal year, 8 touchdowns, almost 900 yards, 88 receptions. And people can debate on how impactful that was. I don't think it was as impactful as people think. I think it was just a trade-off from not making Tyreek the forced first read all year, really making Jonnu that guy. And basically they were in talks with Pittsburgh, the Steelers, about trading, and Miami initiated the conversations because Jonnu wants more money. Miami obviously didn't think that they wanted to pony up what he was asking for, so they initiated the trade conversations. So technically he's on the open market right now. He's available for teams. So the Dolphins are probably having several conversations about Jonnu. Dolphin fans are hoping they can work it out and figure it out, which there's a possibility. But for them to be the ones who actually initiated throwing him out there as available, that tells you all you need to know. They don't want to have any contracts really go into the future now. They're done with that. They signed all these bad contracts. Now they're running it into a wall and say, no, man, we can't be committing. We've extended everybody and it's failed. We can't keep doing it. We might have a new coach and a new general manager. It's unfair to them to have to clean up the mess. They should be able to start on a clean slate next year if that's the case. So that's what I think is going on in Miami. That's why they won't give Jonnu an extension, and he's about to be 30 if he's not already 30. He's available, and Zach Zeeler didn't show up to OTAs. I know some people say it's voluntary, but Zach Zeeler's the good guy. He would show up. So that tells you he wants more guarantees because I believe this is the last year of any of the guarantees, and he showed that he could play at a high level without Christian Wilkins. Everybody thought they both needed each other, and that's why they both were so good. And truth be told, he played better than Christian Wilkins in some cases. So now that might be an issue as well, but we haven't gotten any reports about it. I'm just telling people to brace themselves because a Zeeler contract situation could be an issue as well. Miami is going through a lot of turmoil and drama right now. And let me say this. If Jonnu's gone, Ramsey's gone.
Yeah.
And this thing gets ugly with Zeeler, they might have to just push the big red button and say, yeah, let's blow it up. Tyreek is available now.
Thank you.
They might have to. But we shall see, man. We'll see. But that's the light, TD.
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. You're seeing the light.
I mean, that still don't mean we ain't going to the
You're
Super
feeding
Bowl.
into everything I just said. And I just want to make sure it's known. I'm not a hater. I'm presenting.
Oh, you're a hater. You are.
But how come you just agreed with what I just said?
Yeah, you're a hater.
No.
Say that this happens.
We can get through these problems.
So say that this happens.
You got to do it first. I never said you can't get through it. You got to get through it first.
So say that this happens, right? Is Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer's job safe for 2026?
Man, that's the mystery. That's the mystery question. Here's why. Because and remember, this is theoretical on what I'm presenting to you because it's the only thing that makes sense. Jonnu coming off of a Pro Bowl year, played phenomenal. Why wouldn't you want to extend him? Double his salary. He was only making $4 million. Give him $8 million. Why wouldn't you? And that tells me that they realized they screwed up extending Tyreek. They extended so many of these guys. Jonnu got his deal, Tyreek, Ramsey, and none of these guys are even gonna be here long term. So I think that Brandon Shore's in the front office saying, listen, man, you got to work with what you got now. We're not trying to extend anybody into the future because we need to have a clean slate if we need to make a change. So here's what I think. Chris Grier may be removed from his position, but he'll still be with the organization. He might get promoted out of all of this, which is crazy. And Mike McDaniel is the oddball out. Mike McDaniel could get fired, man. And I'm going to say this. If he gets fired, that means the next coach will determine, the quarterback's future and everything. That very well could happen, Dan. But if we're living in a world where this team fails this year and doesn't get over 10 wins and misses the playoffs, like where do you want? Like some people believe that they're just setting up for next year to rebuild with Grier and McDaniel. That's organization malpractice. Okay.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, right? Like you can't look at a team. And so I did see that graphic floating around, right? Like where it showed McDaniel was 1-10 against teams over 500. Mm-hmm. So I did see you say that and so against a bad Cowboys team where we only kick field goals, I wouldn't even count that as a win.
That one win.
Yeah, like 6 field goals right afterwards. And sometimes I feel like you need to acknowledge the fact that there is a common denominator, and it just so happens to be a failed quarterback experiment, right? And granted, you could sit there and say, listen, Grier did him no favors by never putting together a quality offensive line for this guy, because a QB like that with Tua, he needs an offensive line very much like Jared Goff needs an offensive line, right? He's the type of quarterback that needs that. And that's something that Grier has never really been able to put into practice. What would be interesting is, say you guys do end up walking away from McDaniel, watch Belichick leave UNC and come back and coach the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, please, yeah, bring his girl
That
too.
would be hysterical.
Oh,
that
love
would be
that.
hysterical.
Oh my gosh. Stop it.
It's a new TD Fitz Talk stream in 3 hours. You just be like, Belichick, new head coach for the Miami Dolphins 2026.
Oh,
Look at that
my
record, TD,
gosh.
16-4. Woo!
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Isn't that 17 and 14 combined?
Let's talk about a competent organization next.
But Dan,
What's the competent organization you wanted to
Dan, let me say this one thing first. If Belichick was the coach of Miami, I'd actually get excited though.
Yeah, because his girl's gonna run.
Yeah,
the
as
show,
you should. Yeah, as you should. You know what I mean?
Say
that any coach would
be
be
the
able to
offensive
fix the culture over there.
crazy.
And so say that any coach would be able to fix the culture over there. I feel like Belichick would be the dude.
Belichick
would
is
knock
not
out.
bringing his girl to Miami.
Yeah,
okay?
he is, bro. He's being controlled.
Oh, yeah. That's not a good idea. I wouldn't bring. I wouldn't bring. Yeah.
Oh, he's screwed, bro. I'm telling you, I got a whole theory about what's going on with that relationship.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you know
Let
what, man? We're gonna
Belichick-
have
let
to
Belichick
launch a
live,
full-scale documentary on Roundtable Sports. All right, a
There's
conspiracy
something
documentary.
weird going on, man. You see that CBS interview with Belichick with her in the back, interrupting every little question?
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh Lord.
yeah. It was definitely old. And you know what? Like, it's so one thing I would like to address is like when people brush off the fact that certain players aren't showing up to OTAs. So I think a lot of it like has to do with you just being 100% naive, right? 9 times out of 10, when a player doesn't show up to OTAs, they are upset with the organization. And when you look at all of it, more times than not, they just so happen to be at a point in their contract where certain guarantees are not there.
Yeah.
Much like and so of course, unless you are Hassan Reddick as well, who once again is doing the exact same thing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He got his contract and he is still not at OTAs. And so I thought Richie would appreciate that.
Oh, I do, man. The fact that he's not on my team and the fact that we have 100% of attendance too. Oh, it makes me feel so good about the status of my football team. Which brings up, can I bring up some news regarding my Jets?
Please, man, go ahead.
All right, I got to give a shout out to the Jake Asman show. You guys know Connor Long?
Of course.
Mm-hmm. He filled in for Jake on his own show, and he had Jeremy Fowler come on as a guest, Connor.
Nice.
He knows Jeremy Fowler. And just casually, Jeremy Fowler just drops like a major Jets news. And what Jeremy Fowler said is that the Jets there's a contract extension offer for both Sauce and Garrett Wilson. So that means the ball is moving. The Jets just got a lot of more cap relief. So in terms of the Jets and a contract extension potentially going on with Garrett and Sauce, there are potential movements there. I mean, that doesn't mean it's happening right away. There's still a lot of details that needs to get ironed out, but that is definitely something that is interesting to hear, that the Jets have set out a contract offer, according to Jeremy Fowler.
So the offer is out.
Yeah, they've been working on an agreement, and apparently the Jets have had discussions and showed them what they would offer, or something like that.
So here's my question about the New York Jets, right? Because I feel like when it comes into a brand new head coach, this certainly makes sense when you look at a first-year head coach and going into a second year. Like, there's so many examples, right? And even down to Sean McDermott in his first year. Same thing with Mike McDonald right over in Seattle. Their first year, what they ultimately end up doing is that they run with the exact same roster that they inherited, right? And see how it works. But then right in the second year, they completely clean house. And they just let a lot of these players that were right a part of the old regime walk so that they can build with the specific personnel that they believe is going to run that organization. Is any part of you nervous that that's what this new regime over in New York is attempting to do, especially since there hasn't really been a lot of sort of discussion or like huge movement? So when it comes into Garrett Wilson, and same thing with Sauce Gardner, is there a part of you that worries that that's exactly what Glenn is trying to do? By this year, he's just going to experiment like right with the current personnel, but the following year, he's just going to be like, all right, Wilson, you're gone. Sauce, you're gone. and I'm going to build this team the way that I want.
Yeah, I mean, no. I think the answer is yes and no.
Yeah.
But I think these two right here are part of the future plans with this Jets team. And Aaron Glenn has said multiple times how much he loves these two and how open they're both to stay with this organization. I think you will see a lot of cleaning house. And they're doing a lot of cleaning house in this Jets organization. And it's beyond the players. Like, there's so many people involved in these football teams that we're not aware of. We talk about the coaches, the front office, and the players, but no one talks about the scouting department and the player developmental staff, the medical team. There's been people involved with the Jets organization for years that are getting canned. Like, Aaron Glenn is coming in and literally wiping out every single person that was affiliated with this Jets organization and bringing in his guys. But when it comes to the players, the thing that this Jets regime is doing right now, it's interesting. They're not going star hunting. They're not hunting the best players. They're trying to bring in low-key guys, give them opportunities to become stars on this football team. And I think that's a very unique thing the Jets are doing here. So I think there's going to be a lot of change. But, hey, we brought back Jamie and Sherwood. We gave him a long-term deal. That's not a guy that they developed or drafted. They extended Jamie and Sherwood. And I think they're going to extend Garrett and Sauce. The people that I think that are going to be moving on are guys like Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson, those type of players that Jets fans like may have to be the odd man out. But I think that Garrett Wilson and Sauce are part of the long-term plans, and they absolutely should be because they're the most talented players on this team in pivotal positions.
So what are your thoughts on that, TD?
The offer is out. They're always out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is where they offer the lowball price and then negotiations and all that stuff happen. Listen, this is where the Jets are for their team now. They're about to go down that path that the Miami Dolphins went down. The only good thing that they have going for themselves is they don't have a high paid price quarterback. So that'll allow them to still be competitive as they sign their top end players. So at the end of the day, they're gonna work out a deal, and these guys are gonna be. And this is Sauce and Garrett.
Yes.
Yeah, both of these guys, both of these guys are going to be right up there, close to setting the market, with the exception of Garrett Wilson. He'll get market value. It's not going to set, I don't believe, but it's going to be close to setting, which is right where he needs to be, like crazy money, Sauce may set it. I don't know why. They just think he's better than he is, but hey, it is what it is. He's probably going to set it, though. Given his age and what he's done already from an accolade standpoint in his first few years. So Jets, they'll get it done, and they'll have it done hopefully by the beginning of the season this year so that they can exercise, the flexibility of spreading the money out better by doing it earlier. And the Jets are doing it right. Even if they give them these big deals, doing it early, especially for those two guys, will give them much better cap flexibility long term because both of them have a 5th-year option, right?
Yeah, they have 2 more years technically under contract.
Yeah, they don't have a quarterback making crazy $50-60 million, and they're going to have flexibility on these 2 contracts. And here's the beautiful part. When they're already 2 years maybe into these contracts, then they'll either have a quarterback there ready to pay crazy money or be getting another young guy, which is going to give them even more flexibility long term. They're set up okay to always be competitive and compete from this day forward. And let's just see if it turns out that way. We'll see.
Yeah. And last topic right before we end up wrapping here, folks. A giant congratulations to Saquon Barkley, who will be the cover athlete for Madden 26. It's no surprise to anybody because the second we saw the backwards hurdle, all right, I feel like everybody knew that is exactly what the Madden cover was going to be. An insane play. Congratulations here to Saquon Barkley. Now, I hate putting the tinfoil hat on, but I do think that we need to look at some of the Madden cover athletes and how their season went the following year, right? Last year was Christian McCaffrey, and he played a total of 5 minutes. All right. Like, was dealing with quite a few injuries. Year before that was Josh Allen, and he had one of the most horrific starts to his season in quite some time until Ken Dorsey was fired. And then leading up into Lamar Jackson on 2021. He ended up getting injured. Are you concerned at all for Saquon Barkley for being on this Madden 26 cover? Is the Madden curse still around? I'm starting off with TD on this one.
I'll go off of a probability. Yeah, it's a concern. Okay. I think he'll be fine, but it's a concern. But you know what? I rather celebrate his accomplishment. Madden 26, he earned it. He was one of the most dynamic players in the league. He had a signature moment with that backwards jump that is just unreal. It takes the game to a whole nother level. And I wonder if they're gonna put that in the game, this backward spin jump or something, which would be crazy. And they probably will find a way to do it. But yeah, good stuff for him. This definitely lines his pockets more, of course, with the endorsement. And at the end of the day, I don't want to think about injuries for any player like that. But probability, it's scary, but he'll be fine.
He will be fine. What do you say, Richie?
Yeah, I hope he'll be fine because the curse definitely hit Christian McCaffrey last year. So it's a real thing, unfortunately, but it's also superstition. So I hope Saquon can be the man to replicate what he did last year. Saquon is just so good for the league, man. Like,
yeah,
the running back position was a lost art a few years ago, and it feels like Saquon and Derrick Henry and like the veterans having breakout seasons last year on new teams kind of brought more value to that position, which I absolutely love. And I'm hopeful that can be replicated again with the Eagles and Henry again, and maybe the young guys like Bijan Robinson and, Breece Hall and what's his name, Jahmyr Gibbs, and the younger generation can kind of keep going. I'm excited to see what Ashton Genty looks like this year. Omarion Hampton is probably the most slept on rookie in this year's class for the Chargers. So I'm excited to see it. And, I'm a sucker for Madden, man. I really am. So I'm excited to play with the Jets this year. And, you best believe I'm cooking with the Jets, especially that Justin Fields is the quarterback, just running around.
Oh, man. Who remembers when we ran that Madden league, bro?
I remember that. That was brutal, honestly.
It was. It sucked.
Keeping up with it. Not even just playing. It was like dealing with the Discord chat and like dealing with it was so
yeah.
Hey, I was better than both of y'all. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe one of these days we'll start implementing some Madden content once again on this.
I mean, it will be fun to do like not franchises, but Jets versus Dolphins, and we stream it.
So what would be interesting is that, say for example, like with each and every single week, like the Sunday night primetime game, like we had both of those creators play 1v1 on that. I think that would be pretty funny.
We could do like a tournament too. We could do like a giant tournament where each creator plays as their team and like make a whole bracket and a tournament, and whoever meets in the Super Bowl.
That should be off season. Like that would be
Yeah, but the problem is it has to be with the new game though. And the game comes out right before the season starts, so probably can't do it.
So what's the
date it comes out?
So what's a quality soft launch, I would say, would just be like whatever Sunday night football matchup is going on or Monday night. We just have both of those dudes together, and they got to play Madden.
August 14th, it comes out.
That's quite a bit.
And then everybody would have to get it too.
And then you know what else, which is off topic, but real quick before we finish, that we've never done together for our 5 years of being friends and business partners that I really want to do with you guys?
What's that?
Fantasy football. Like we've never competed in a fantasy football league ever.
Yeah. Okay.
I would love
football
to murk you guys in fantasy football.
That would never happen, Richie. You gotta be realistic.
So we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure out a way to
I feel like we can figure something out.
Because there's 4 of us in the AFC East, but we need more than 4 people. So we'd have to I don't know. I definitely want to do a competitive.
Make it a serious league. Like it could be a sport and add like 8 people. Involved. Yeah.
Some subscribers involved.
So we'll just pull some of the talent. Yeah, we'll pull some of the talent too and like make some content out of it or something.
I would love a fantasy football show on Roundtable, which is a whole other conversation.
Anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition. I did see my boy Tony came in and donated for a Bob's Punch. There you go, brother. There you go, man. I appreciate that. I did not miss it. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Fourth and Forever. Richie, what do you got to say to the audience?
Nothing, man. We appreciate you guys as always. We'll be back for Fourth and Forever tomorrow. AFC East Roundtable Wednesday evening. We'll just continue to grind, continue to love you guys, and let's enjoy the offseason. Last week of OTAs and the mandatory minicamp, and then all of a sudden, it's the dead zone.
So what do you got, TD?
Yeah, man. We're just waiting on these moves to happen in the offseason. You know, who's getting traded? What's the compensation? All of that stuff. Outside of that, man, we're getting you through the summer, guys. Fourth and Forever is here, and let's get it. Make sure you let your friends and family members know.
Folks, we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, and on time as well, I promise.
Yes.
Right, TD?
I hope so.
Yeah. I hope so.